Rule, I will read through the items that are on our consent agenda. There are several items, about 10. And if there's a question about either of these, once I've read through the list, then you have the right to pull anyone to ask questions or to discuss. Otherwise, we will vote on these as a consent package. RS 2013-628, sponsor is Gilmore. A resolution approving an amendment to a parking agreement between Metro and the Stallman Redevelopment Partners for use of up to 175 parking spaces for a fee in the courthouse parking garage. This was administratively approved on March the 14th. And I do have a letter for approval from the council lady. 2013-629. Sponsor is Moore, Gilmore, and others. A resolution approving an amendment to a lease agreement between the state of Tennessee and the metropolitan government. This was administratively approved on 3/14. BL 2013-391. Sponsor is Potts. An ordinance approving the abandonment of approximately 830 feet of public water main and associated easements and acceptance of 196 feet of public water main, public fire hydrant, and an easement on property located at 4040 Armory Oaks Drive. Administrative approval given on January the 23rd. BL 2013-370. Sponsor is Gilmore. An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by applying the Salem Town Neighborhood Conservation Overlay District to properties located along various streets in Salem Town. This was approved with an amended boundary and disapproved without the amended boundaries on February the 28th by a vote of 8-0. BL 2013-371, sponsor is Moore, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by changing from R6 to SP zoning for property located at 502 Southgate Avenue to permit up to 9 residential units. This was approved with conditions, disapproved without all conditions, a vote of 9-0 on January the 10th. BL 2013-372, sponsor is Gilmore, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by changing from CF to MUIA zoning for property located at 2007 Terrace Place. And this was approved on February the 28th by a vote of 6-0. BL 2010-373. Sponsor is Matthews. An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by changing from CL to SP zoning for property located at 5110 Ashland City Highway to permit motorcycle sales, automobile sales, and all uses permitted in the CL zoning district. This was approved with conditions, disapproved without all conditions by a vote of 8-0 on January the 10th. BL 2013-374, an ordinance, sponsor is Duval, and we'll move this one to the Hill. I do not have a letter from the councilman. 375 is sponsor Duval. BL 2013-376, sponsor is Gilmore, an ordinance to amend the downtown code by adding regulations for signage. This was approved by the commission by a vote of 8-0 on February the 14th. And BL 2013-378, sponsor is McGuire, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by changing from OR20 to SP zoning for properties located on Crestmore Road and Cleghorn Avenue, permitting all uses of the MUGA district except those uses specified on the plan as prohibited, and utilizing most bulk standards of the MUGA district. This was approved with conditions, disapproved without all conditions by a vote of 7-4, 0 and 2 against. That was January the 10th. So I have either letters or the sponsors are present with us on all items except 375 and 376. And I have a question, Councilman Bedney.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about 370.
370. All right, we'll pull that one. Bennett? Okay. So do I have any other questions? Do I have a motion on our consent? Motion made and seconded to approve all items on our consent. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? With the exception of 370, correct? Right, that's any opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. All right, we're back on BL 2013-370, which is the ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by applying the Salemtown Neighborhood Conservation Overlay District to properties located along various streets in Salemtown. Councilman Bedney, you had...
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, I'm a member of Historic Nashville. It's a historic preservation agency, and I'm all for preservation, but I have got some phone calls and some questions about the process by which this overlay was crafted, and I wanted to see if I can get some information on that. They seem, I know there's always two sides to every story, but I'd like to hear what you can tell us about how the whole process came to be, if you don't mind.
Council Lady Gilmore?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. I wish I had printed out my sheet with me. Originally, first of all, I want everybody to know that this is not a Council Lady Gilmore's bill. This is a neighborhood Salemtown bill, and the neighbors came to me and they asked me, could we preserve some of the houses that represented the 1950s historic period. And I said, go ahead. And this started back, I looked at one of my original emails. This started in January of 2012. And so Molly McClure, who was the president of that time, she went through and she got some petitions, and she said she only had she did some surveys, she only had maybe like 2%. Both myself and Tim Walker said that's not enough. We can't support, you don't have enough support with that. So then she went back again, and it was maybe like June of that time, and she had a little bit more. And then we went from there, and we said, okay, that's still not enough. This is June, and I actually have an outline, and I met with her, I met with some of the other neighbors, and then so we get to maybe like September. She had what we considered sufficient participation in the survey process. They held 7 to 8 meetings. I've met with 7 to 10. I haven't been at all of the meetings, but I've met with 7 to 10 different people, and we have this documented. And actually, I even met with someone last Friday here at the councilman meeting. So we moved forward, and the last major meeting we had was in January. And that's when we had the community meeting, and everything seemed to be fine at that point. It was Tim Walker, who was from Historical, and I'm just saying, this is the process. Tim Walker was from Historical, Robin Ziegler was there, and it was maybe, I don't know, 40 persons or so, but I can gather all the information. And during that time, everyone said that they were fine with it. There were some questions about the height, but in terms of the board and the representation, they said they were fine. So we said that we would move forward with it. So we went forward with it, and after this meeting, I think some of the developers, myself, Tim Walker, and the president, Freddie O'Connell, met with them as well. This was like February the 12th. Okay, so then we forward to, okay, there's the planning meeting, planning historical, so the mailers have gone out for that. There's already been 6 or 7 meetings. I can give you a detailed kind of list of the meetings tomorrow. But so we go to planning. I went to planning. There was only one person there for planning when they had the Historical Planning Commission, and that was the past president, Molly McClure. No one stood up in opposition. Fast forward here, we go to the public hearing meeting, which we all hear. You know, you have to do notices for that. There were 2 people that were for it. There were 2 people for against it. And mind you, one of the people that was against it was in Councilman Perdue's district. I said, but you got to love the process. And he said, that's and she says, I'm not in this district. I have no say, blah, 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 but I'm not for it. So during that time, so we moved forward, thinking, you know, that the one person that spoke against it, we moved forward. And then last night, or maybe no, last week, there was a constituent who shared that she thought the process hadn't been fair because she was out of town. Meanwhile, this same constituent has met with Tim Walker, who has met with the president of the Salem Town Association, and they have explained the process. I have explained the process. This particular constituent is saying everything is not transparent, it's not in the overlay. And so she's gone through and asked, just kind of begin to spread things. And so things begin to unravel at this point. But in terms of the process, I think the process has been transparent in terms of the process of what we have, in terms of mailers going out. You know that they have to be mailed by planning or historical. It's not something that the community can do themselves. I've had 6 or 7 meetings with different individuals that had really strong concerns. I've had several conversations, but we'll continue to move on it. Yesterday, I even received a call from a pastor at New Salem who was very up in arms. I went out there and met with him personally on a Sunday afternoon. We set up a meeting to meet with, because he said he had 30 constituents that were a part of the church and that lived on the street. I said, we can't meet today, but I'd be willing to meet with you tomorrow. I called Tim. We scheduled a meeting. And then he called back and he said, Ms. Gilmore, I appreciate you coming out, walking me through the process. He said, I talked to my constituency within the church that live on this street, and he said, we're fine with it. Now, I've continued to receive other emails as well. I don't know, at this point, they're sharing that they're opposed, and I've seen the petition, but I don't even know if that petition can be valid. So we just want to keep on moving forward. And I would just ask, though, as we move forward, that it stays civil, because it looks like it's getting a little not so civil, and I really don't have a dog in the fight. Like I said, this was something that was brought to me by the neighbors and the president who represents the neighborhood association. So we took it from there. We've been working on it for a year. I'll continue to work. I don't have a problem with deferring it or moving forward, but I just want to say that there is some dirty pool going out there, and people are just stirring up the pot for their own self-interest, which is really disappointing. But there is documentation that we have had meetings, as much public input whether it's through the council process, which we're all very familiar with, that everybody receives a notice with that, or whether it's through our own community meetings. And we've done our due diligence. Could we have more participation? Probably so. But did we do the process? Was it clear? Was it transparent? Yes, it has been. So that's all I can tell you at this point. And we just continue to move forward.
Well, I appreciate your explanation. The person that called me, I told her I have personally had meetings, and I will try to get people to show up, and people don't come. And so there is a two-way street. I mean, we need the community to be interested in participating as well. So thank you for the explanation.
Sure, no problem.
And I can just add to that, as this came through the Planning Commission, that there was a good discussion about this before the vote was taken, and the part of that process resulted in the amended boundary that was originally proposed, that sized the boundary down some.
Yes, and I would, Tim, do you have the list of them? I didn't bring that with me, of the meetings of how many we've had. Do you have that sheet with you?
Unfortunately, I don't have it, but I know there were, over the last probably 14 months, there we go, over the last 14 months, there were probably 20 plus meetings that were had, so that have been taking place.
Okay, good deal. And we'll have the, like I said, because we have the list, and we'll have all that pulled together tomorrow evening. And also, I would like to say, too, because I read one of the emails, and they said the processing had not been transparent because the boundaries moved from the overall neighborhood to 2 streets. And I explained to them at public hearing that the Planning Commission, who we consider to be the experts, had said that the 2 streets that had the most significance, and that's how we came up with that. So I want us to be clear about how the process works and understand it, and it's not something that I've done under my own devising, but that was a Planning Commission recommendation. And if anything, it seems like that would be better, moving from, we're talking about 20 streets or so to 2 streets. And so I just wanted to explain that as well.
Councilor Bennett.
Thank you, Chairman. Councilor Gilmore, it sounds like you have really worked and done the right process with this. Just in an effort to kind of satisfy some of those folks who felt like they were out of the mix, would you consider deferring a meeting or 2 just to give them a chance to work with you and feel heard in the process? Would you mind that?
I always want my constituents to be heard. Last I heard, I was going to follow back up with Freddie, though, who is the president of the neighborhood association, and we said that we would discuss, and then I would look to hear what they had said tonight. I mean, because he's not here, and he's somebody that had been working on the ground. He is the representative for the Salem Town Neighborhood Association.
So if we pass it now, you're considering a deferral on the third reading tomorrow night?
I am considering it, but I'm not I'm saying that I need to follow back up. And what I'm saying is the person who is the president of the neighborhood association, who's also worked very hard on this, he's not here right now. And all this has come out at the 11th hour, you know. But nevertheless, I do respect the process. And I just think it's interesting that you can receive so many at the 11th hour and people get things stirred up. And nevertheless, we listen to them. So I do want to hear from him. He sent an email and we'll follow up. But it's never not to listen to people. I do believe in the democratic process.
Councilman Glover?
Council Lady Gilmore, I mean, in the event we go ahead and pass it tonight and you provide us with information tomorrow night, if we don't feel like you've given it to us, at that point we'd have the option to say yay or nay to you. I assume that's correct. If we pass it tonight, then it does give her the option. I mean, we've heard the information. It does give her the option to make that decision tomorrow night and for her to provide us with additional information. Am I hearing that correctly?
I'm sorry to understand. You can always vote. What is it that you're asking me? I'm not clear.
You're saying you're going to provide more information by tomorrow on the process and
Definitely, I'm saying I can give you all the information actually this evening. We have it all together, and then, that I don't mind. And you know, some of the processes, I guess what I'm saying, that are in place, we know that they have to occur just because they come before the council, and that's the process that we have. So let's at least honor that piece. But the community meetings, we know that we can give you that information as well. But we know some of the things that they just had to receive. I mean, because we just have to do it by law. It's not something we can just go and do. And like we said, we've gone through public hearings, gone to historical, and through historical, planning, public hearing, there was not a big uproar, and within the last 2 days there has been, you know. So I want us to honor that process as well.
Councilman Bedney, did you have another question?
No.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Do I have a motion? All right, motion made to approve 2013-370 and seconded. Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we still have two bills. 2013-374, sponsor is Duval, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by changing from AR2A to CS zoning for property located at the southeast corner of Murfreesboro Pike and Pinhook Road. And BL 2013-375, sponsor Duval, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance by making applicable the provisions of an urban design overlay district to establish building and site design standards for the southeast corner of Murfreesboro Pike and Pinhook Road. I do not have a letter from the councilman, so do I hear a motion to defer by rule? Motion made and seconded to defer by rule. Those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. That completes our agenda, and we stand adjourned.